After his defeat, Napoleon Bonaparte was exiled to Elba by the victorious coalition powers. As you'll know, he came back, and after his second defeat he was exiled yet again, but this time further away. But given what he put the coalition allies through and the risk he posed by still remaining alive, why was Napoleon only exiled instead of being permanently dealt with? So, in 1814, the coalition had marched on Paris, and the French Senate declared Napoleon deposed. Napoleon wanted to keep fighting, but his generals said no and demanded that he leave. And because Prussia, Russia and Austria just wanted the war to be over, they agreed to let Napoleon enter exile, on the condition that he renounced the French throne. He eventually agreed and was then allowed to leave for Elba. This was much to the annoyance of the British, who wanted to imprison him because they saw his entire reign as illegitimate. But, as you'll all know, he returned to France a year later. Upon his return, he was given an army and fought the coalition again, before losing. So why was it then that, in spite of the threat that Napoleon's existence was, why didn't the Allies 100% guarantee that he wasn't going to be a problem again? Well, the great powers mostly wanted different things for Napoleon. The British were very much against execution, because its government believed that the restored Bourbon dynasty was fragile. If Napoleon were to be given a free trip to the afterlife, there were fears that those still loyal to him would rise up and potentially plunge France into a civil war, which would need dealing with, and Britain didn't feel like it. Austria and Russia were both mixed. There was a genuine desire for vengeance, but given that Napoleon's imperial coronation had been given the blessing of the Pope, the idea of ending his life was seen as a step too far. Also, both nations had previously allied with Napoleon, and executing someone who a few years prior was your ally wasn't a good look. And the Russians wanted to keep him alive as a threat to the rest of Europe, whereas the Prussians had no such qualms of execution, and its generals were openly calling for Napoleon's head. Bonaparte's escape from exile had solidified this position, and many Prussians believed that Napoleon was capable of returning from anywhere, except the grave. The Prussian king didn't share this opinion, which is why the calls for his head went nowhere. Of course, all of this squabbling was irrelevant, because Napoleon had cleverly handed himself over to the British. Napoleon knew that they were going to be the most lenient, and he believed that he would be allowed to live out the rest of his days in the UK as a free man. This was obviously wrong, but the British weren't willing to hand him over for execution, and so he knew that at least he'd live. Given his previous escape, though, Napoleon wasn't going to be given anywhere to rule, and so instead he was exiled to Saint Helena, here, as he would remain here under house arrest until his death in 1821.